The Statesboro City Council meeting for December 3rd, 2019. We will have our invocation and pledge of allegiance by Councilman Sam Jones.
Let's pray. Heavenly Father, we want to take this opportunity to just say thank you and invite you to this place that we call Statesboro Council Chambers. Knowing that you're already here, we just want to invite you here so that we appreciate you. We ask the opportunity to just be with us as we sit down and reason together to serve your people, the citizens of Statesboro, our visitors, and our staff, so we have serenity, courage, and wisdom to make good decisions. And together, all God's children said, Amen.
Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We move down to agenda item 3, which is recognition and public presentation. We have a presentation of the Georgia Department of Community Affairs downtown Statesboro with the GEM Award. And GEM stands for Georgia Exceptional Main Street.
Good morning, Mayor and Council.
Good morning.
My name is Tara Bradshaw, and I serve with the Georgia Department of Community Affairs Office of Downtown Development. First, I'd just like to say thank you for allowing me to come and speak to you this morning. Through the Office of Downtown Development, we manage the Georgia Main Street program, and we have the pleasure of working with 118 cities across the state that are dedicated to the regrowth of their historic commercial districts. As you're aware, the Main Street approach provides a balanced path towards revitalization with a focus on economic development, all in the context of historic preservation. In partnership with the National Main Street Center, our participating cities are required to meet 10 standards during an annual assessment process each year in order to become an accredited Main Street America community. During this assessment process, we work together as a team to identify those cities that consistently excel at all 10 of the standards. And we like to identify these cities, and they're known as our Georgia Exceptional Main Street Cities, or our GEMS communities. It is because of DSDA and Statesboro Main Street Program's commitment to excellence and stable leadership that I'm here today to congratulate you all on being designated a 2020 GEMS community. Over the past 3 years, downtown Statesboro has seen $11.5 million in public and private investment in downtown. This has resulted in 51 new businesses and 103 net new jobs right here in downtown Statesboro. That's incredible. Additionally, your Main Street program has attracted over 200,000 people to downtown Statesboro through civic events. You are all to be commended for your dedication to rebuilding the heart of your city. To recognize the city of Statesboro and as a token of our appreciation, I would like to present you today with a gateway sign recognizing your designation. It reads, "Welcome to downtown Statesboro, a Georgia Exceptional Main Street City." Thank you all for your investment and your commitment to downtown Statesboro. The transformation here has been incredible, and we look forward to what the future holds for the city of Statesboro and its downtown. Thank you very much.
Thank you. It's beautiful.
I would love to present it to you, Mayor.
Well, you know
If
what?
you would like to come down and take a photo.
Where's Alan? Okay. I have to break my board up too.
Yeah, I would like for you to do that too. That's why I called on you. So, bring them up. Yeah. Oh,
I'd like to thank everybody.
Yeah, this works. I'll be going back.
Y'all did this.
Yeah. Where you gonna put it? That's it. Short people in front. Come on.
Down.
Elena needs to go up and Alan needs to go down. Yeah, it's Alan. Something else going on.
Who are you looking at?
Still got movement, but
I'm so sorry.
The paparazzi.
you didn't hear me say that.
Thank you, Mayor. I would like to especially thank my board. If they'll wave their hands again as they're leaving. They are an unsung hero in a way because nobody really knows how much work they do. I know how much they do, and I appreciate all the hard work they do, and they do it for the community and the love of their community. And, they're really a pleasure to work with. Frank's our chairman this year, and he does, Mark's been on every board in the community, so it's a great group of folks, and actually I'd like to give them a round of applause because they just work so hard. And, also, I'd like to thank the city and the mayor and the council. They've always had our back, and they've always supported them. As anybody knows about DDAs and Main Streets, they're really only as good as their partnership with the city is.
Yeah.
And ours is as strong as anybody in the states, and that's why we're able to actually get this award, because I think it's a group effort.
Mhm.
And so I appreciate the city and all your support, and the staff are always helpful, always contributing, and that makes a huge difference too in our resources. We also always know that if we can all come together, we're stronger. And also want to thank the thousands of hours of community involvement from our citizens that have helped make this a great honor to have. So thank you, Mayor, thank you, council, and thank our community.
All right, thank you, ma'am. Thank you. All right, we'll move down to agenda item 3B, which is a recognition for Bullock County Alcohol and Drug Council presentation, a recognition from Governor for tips instructors in Statesboro, Georgia, Eric Short and Jeff Thompson, I'm sorry. And I want to read the letter. Oh, I'm sorry.
You ready for none of that?
Yeah, go right ahead. She's
Good
not
morning,
right
Mayor, council members, and Mr. Penny. I'm here representing Bullock County Drug Council, Alcohol and Drug Council. We would like to recognize 2 of our TIPS instructors today. As you know, TIPS is one of the approved responsible beverage server training that the city council approved in the city ordinance, alcohol ordinance. Bullock Alcohol and Drug Council was offering TIPS long before the requirement of the ordinance, but since the passage of the alcohol ordinance in 2016, Bullock Alcohol and Drug Council has trained 1,779 servers, bouncers, and clerks in convenience stores and stores. Jeff Thompson, a former Bullock County Sheriff's Deputy and Dare Officer, has been teaching TIPS for 6 years and has taught 1,507 participants.
Wow.
And Eric Short, a detective with Statesboro Police Department, has been teaching TIPS for 4 years and has taught 794 participants. Bullock Alcohol and Drug Council can offer the TIPS program for no charge to the participants are charged to the restaurants because of funding through the Department of Behavioral Health and Office of Prevention grant. TIPS is proven to prevent drunk driving, reduce over-serving intoxicated persons, prevention of sales to minors, and promotes responsible alcohol consumption. Not only does Bullock Alcohol and Drug Council recognize the efforts that our instructors put forth, but so has the governor of the state of Georgia.
Thank you. All right, and it reads as follows. Dear Eric Short and Jeff Thompson, I am writing to express my appreciation for your good citizenship and your hard work in helping to prevent alcohol-related incidences in our state. Your contributions through the training of intervention procedures help prevent intoxication and related injuries and help decrease the risk of tragedies related to drunk driving and underage drinking. The efforts of citizens like you underscore the grassroots value of community service. Thank you for working to reduce the unnecessary loss of human potential. I salute you for your involvement with the training for intervention procedures and your commitment to make Georgia a safer place to live. Sincerely, Brian P. Kemp, Governor of the State of Georgia. If you will, I will come forward. Council.
I'll stand on the outside.
Get a few minutes from home. Thank you.
That's right. You gotta be thankful.
We'll move down to agenda item 4, public comments. Are there any public comments?
No, Mayor.
Okay. We'll move down to agenda item 5, consideration of a motion to approve the consent agenda. Item A, approval of minutes for our council work session meetings on November the 19th and council meetings for November the 19th as well. Is there a motion to approve? Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor? Aye. All right. All right, we move down to agenda item 6, second reading, consideration of a motion to approve ordinance 201-12, an ordinance amending chapter 38 of the Statesboro Code of Ordinances, adding Article 7 and establishing the Community Redevelopment Tax Incentive Program. Okay.
Mayor and Council, this agenda item before y'all today is the establishment of the Community Redevelopment Tax Incentive Program. And what this would allow for the identification of non-residential properties within the city that are maintained in a blighted condition for a minimum of a year to get an additional 7-fold factor increase on their city ad valorem taxes, and that additional levy would be in place until the property is remediated back in the city code, at which point they would receive the property owner would receive 3 years of a 50% abatement of their city ad valorem taxes to compensate for, in order to get the incentive to remediate that property.
All right, thank you, Ken. All right, is there any discussion by council? Seeing that there's no discussion, is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay. All right, Kane, citing that this is an ordinance for appropriation, that 7-fold factor, I would like to reduce that to 0.01. Okay. All right, we
I'm
move
sorry,
down
what?
to agenda item 7.
I'm sorry, can you explain that, Mayor?
It's an appropriation ordinance, and as mayor, I can reduce the appropriation that's associated with it.
This is an appropriation, this is a tax rate.
Yeah,
You can't change the millage rate.
no, the appropriation.
This is a tax rate.
I'm not changing the millage rate, what I'm changing is the factor. And it's appropriation, these funds go to a specific area, and that's my right as mayor, I can reduce that.
Okay.
The mayor does have the right to reduce appropriations or alter them under the, I believe it's part section, and so then it would require additional consideration, I believe, at the next meeting in order to overcome
Now,
that.
this is appropriation adjustment, not a veto.
Appropriation is spending of money. This is a tax rate. This is not appropriation.
Yeah.
Appropriations is spending money.
Yeah.
Like when we create a budget, then you appropriate a certain fund, and you can shift monies around, and I understand you do have that ability as mayor, but this is a tax rate. You have, mayor, with all due respect, you don't have the ability to change the tax rate, and this is a tax. This is a tax on property and a tax rate that is in an ordinance. You do not have the ability to change our ordinances without council approval. We've created a tax rate here and a tax program, and this is not, now, if you want to appropriate the
The
funds,
caveat
that's
with this,
different.
Councilman, as a point of clarification, is that this funding is dedicated to a specific line item. And because this is dedicated to a specific line item, by definition, it becomes an appropriated fund. And because it is an appropriated fund, that gives me that ability. We've already talked with legal in regards to it. Legal is in agreement with the mayor. So, we can, at this time, if legal says it's fine and it's in our charter, this may not be the best time to debate that.
Well, this is exactly the time to debate this. This is a public meeting.
Okay, well, I mean, you can, I
No
mean,
one- no one
we can
will be that
discuss
this is
it,
gonna happen.
we can discuss it, but at this point, it is what it is.
These things behind the scenes.
There's nothing behind the scenes. I'm here in front of everybody, let them know what I'm doing. It's in the charter.
I'd like you to explain to me again, city attorney, how this is an appropriation. Appropriation is when we budget something, and that's a spending line item. This is a tax rate. Does the mayor have the ability to change the millage rate?
The mayor does not have the ability to change the
This is
millage
a
rate.
tax rate. This is a multiplier of the millage rate. How does he have the ability to change that in a written ordinance that's been approved twice?
To be honest, I was not expecting this today. I don't even have the charter provision in front of me. It says the mayor is able to adjust appropriations, and under 38-162, it says revenues arising from the increased rate shall be segregated by the city manager and used only for community redevelopment purposes.
He can readjust the spending, but he can't change the rate.
The mayor can also veto it, or, I mean, like I said, I don't even
If
have.
you'd like to
charter
veto, that's
provision
one
in front
thing,
of
and
me
then we'll
right
put it
now.
on the next agenda.
Yeah,
But the appropriations is spending.
okay.
This is not spending. This is a rate.
Appropriations that's coming out of an ordinance, this is what
I understand
specifically
that.
said in the charter.
You have
The mayor
taxes
has
that are
made,
collected,
the
that
mayor's
go
made
into
the
a fund,
decision.
that's
So
appropriations.
we can move forward, if the council wants to bring it back, we can do so. But as it was stated, as far as our understanding and our conversation, and we bring it before the people, it stands. And we'll move forward. If council would like to bring it back, then we can bring it back.
Well,
Okay.
then it needs to be put on the next agenda. I'm confused at how this is appropriations. Mr. Penny, maybe you could chime in on this? I'd like to, if you don't have the ability to change the millage rate, you certainly don't have the ability to change.
This is not a millage rate change, it's a multiplier change, and the multiplier is what's going towards an appropriated line item.
I
By
understand.
definition, this becomes an appropriation, and
No,
by charter,
that's not
the
true.
mayor is empowered to adjust that. Okay?
We spent 8 months on this, Mayor, and this is ridiculous.
Okay.
I'm sorry,
That's fine.
Are any of the other councilmen gonna say something? Because this is silly.
Okay.
This is a tax rate, it's a multiplier of the millage rate. It's a multiplier of the millage rate. Now, the amount we collect, that which is what appropriation is. The collected amount gets appropriated to a fund. That amount can be moved around. That is, yes, I absolutely agree that under the charter it says you have that authority. But you do not have, any more than you have the ability to change the millage rate, you do not have the ability to change the multiplier.
Millage rate and a multiplier are apples and oranges.
No, they're not.
The same thing.
The multiplier is a multiplication of the millage rate,
Okay.
right? Correct?
The multiplier,
Is a multiplication of the millage rate.
the multiplier is a factor of the ordinance.
Of the
ordinance
millage
brings
rate.
about, the ordinance brings about the multiplier. The multiplier is what defines what goes into the appropriated line item. Because it's an appropriation, I have the right to do that.
7 times what, Mayor? 7 times what?
Seven times the millage rate.
The millage rate.
Yeah, so I'm not
you
adjusting the
can't change
millage rate. I'm not changing the millage rate, I'm changing the
You're
multiplier.
changing the multiplier, you're
Yeah.
changing the tax
The
rate.
multiplier is what's being changed, not the millage rate. The
I
millage
understand.
rate remains the same. The multipliers was being changed, and the multiplier is the fee that's going to the appropriated line item. And because I have the right to adjust the appropriation, then I can just say that instead of sevenfold, then it's gonna be 0.01.
The multiplier is the rate, sir, with all due respect.
That's what I said.
No, you didn't. You said it's the appropriation. Appropriations is
The
the amount of money
appropriation-
that is collected.
The,
and that's
the amount of
spent.
money that goes into the appropriated funds is what? The multiplier. The multiplier goes into that appropriated fund. That's what goes in there. That's where the power lies. All right.
I'm going to jump in by saying, I appreciate what both Councilman and Mayor are saying. However, I might, as a personal council member District 2, I rely upon the advice of the attorney. And the attorney stated he does not have the charter here at hand. He's not even an advisor at this time. So my recommendation is that we table it to the attorney to come back with some facts so that we can make an informed decision.
I agree with that.
Agreed.
So then where do we stand? We've just passed the second reading, something we've been working on for almost a year now, only to be hamstrung here at the end. What is the point of creating ordinances, Mayor, if you can just change the ordinance willy-nilly?
This is within my power.
No, it's not.
Yes, it is.
No.
Yeah.
Well, I see about that, because this is,
Then we will see.
so what's the status of this, Kane?
The mayor sought legal counsel prior to this. Legal counsel said that the mayor had the right to do so, and then that's what's been executed.
Well, I think the understanding
If
of
the
what is
council
and
so
what
chooses
isn't
to
appropriate.
bring this matter back at the next meeting, we can do that. But based on legal counsel, the mayor did seek legal counsel on this.
So he's
And this is
changing the
the-
language of the ordinance, so you're saying that that's okay?
When it's an appropriation.
Without us voting on
However,
it.
there is, like I said, I don't even have the council, I don't even have the chart provision in front of me right now. I was not prepared for it.
What's the definition of appropriation?
It's the money earmarked for a specific purpose.
Money earmarked. That's
Okay,
correct.
and the multiplier funds are earmarked
That's how
for a
the,
specific
yeah,
cause.
that's how the money is
And
generated.
thank you, and thanks.
That's how the money is generated.
Councilman, I have no problem if council wants to bring this back, at the next meeting, that's absolutely fine.
And how are we supposed to do that?
Well, I believe the 4-1 vote overcomes it, but like I said, I don't have it.
4-1
in
vote
front of me.
applies when there's a veto. This is
I
not a
don't have
veto,
the
this is
chart
an
provision in
adjustment.
front of me. I'd have to look into this, I'd call it Councilman Jones.
Yeah.
Advice on that.
Yeah. Okay. We move down to agenda item 7, which is consideration of a motion to approve ordinance 2019-3, an ordinance restating the retirement plan for the city of Statesboro employees under the Georgia Municipal Employee Benefits System. Mr. King.
Mayor, members of the city council, what is before you today is, we are required by the Georgia Municipal Employee Benefit System, to restate the defined benefit plan. This is we're being required to do this because of, IRS regulations. There's some tax benefit to our employees, and in order for them to continue to be able to benefit from those tax benefits, the mayor and the council will need to restate these benefit plans and approve them, and then we will send them forward to GMA. And then so that's why this is before you. I recommend that city council approve the restated benefit plans for the Georgia Municipal Employee Benefit System.
Is there any discussion by council?
But my question is, Mr. Peters, will this allow the employees to be more flexible with spending it so high?
No, it doesn't change anything that the employees currently have. It doesn't change any of the current benefits. All you're doing is simply restating what employees already have. That's it. It's just restating.
Thank you, sir.
Any further discussion by council? Seeing that there's no further discussion by council, is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Move down to agenda item 8, consideration of a motion to approve resolution 2019-39, a resolution authorizing the opening of a separate bank account for 2019 SPOS. Mr. Payne.
Mayor, members of the council, just simply, we're recommending that you approve the opening of a bank account, separate bank account for the the 2019 SPOS funds. We recommend your approval.
Is there any discussion by council? Seeing that there's no discussion by council, is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
We move down to agenda item 9, consideration of a motion to adopt resolution 2019-40, a resolution approving the city of Statesboro proposed FY 2020 street resurfacing list and further authorizing the mayor to execute the GDOT local maintenance improvement grant application. GDOT will allocate $328,952.80 to the city of Statesboro from the grant, which requires 30% matching funds to the amount of $98,685.84. The matching funds will be provided from the 2018 T-SPOS funds. Mr. King.
Mayor, members of the council, simply, we have to submit this list and this grant application to GDOT by December 31st in order for us to qualify for the funds. So what we provided to you today is a listing of streets, and as I shared with you in the work session, those listing of streets is balanced by wards, and we recommend that you approve the grant application that will be submitted. I will say to the council, mayor and council, that this is not the full list of streets that would be resurfaced. We will bring that information back to you, but this list is a solid list, but then there will be additional streets that we will bid out after the first of the year for resurfacing. I recommend approval.
Any discussion by council? Seeing that there's no discussion by council, is there a motion to approve? Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Let's show that agenda item 9 is passed. We move down to agenda item 10, which is consideration of a motion to approve the purchase of 4 new dispatch consoles as well as the fiber optic line. Mr. Nichols.
Mayor, members of the council, at the police department, earlier this summer, we came to you because we had to replace the HVAC system because the building had been struck by lightning. Well, at the same time, the HVAC system was struck by lightning. Our radio consoles, dispatch consoles were also impacted by that. And so currently we have 3 consoles, and we need to replace those 3 consoles. At the same time that the building was built, we actually had space for a 4th console. And so in getting the pricing to replace the 3, we felt it would be prudent to go ahead and just install the 4th console. And so before you today, we've got a price to replace the 3 plus the 4th console, and that price is, I'm sure I get it right, $361,500. The funds are available in some SPOS funding in order to be able to replace this. And in addition, because we did have some damage that was caused by lightning, we should receive some funding. I just can't tell you how much funding from insurance we will receive. But we recommend to you that you approve the purchase of these consoles and also do contract with Northland Communications to handle our fiber optic cables that we need, and we will pay for those for that work out of our general budget.
Thank you. All right, any discussion by council? All right, seeing that there's no discussion.
One question before you go on there. Reference to the, I think it costs $361,000. This is the post department, is that correct?
This is police department, sir.
And the Northern Cable will be doing the installation?
For the fiber optic.
Was that something like issued out to the other, that was bid out, and that's my question, was it like a direct?
Well, and Chief, I'm gonna ask you exactly, we got a price, I think, from Motorola, and they may be a sole source, but the chief can answer that for you.
Thank you, Councilman. So the Motorola part of the project was all bid out as part of the county-wide upgrade to the radio system. The fiber optic cable, Northland already runs the cable to the building. That running a fiber optic actually upgrades the capabilities and the redundancy in the system. And so that's an add-on to it, but Northland is already our service provider for that cable, just having them trench part of our cable directly to the tower.
Thank you, Chief.
Any further discussion by council? Seeing that there's no further discussion by council, is there a motion to approve?
So move.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
We move on to agenda item 11, consideration of a motion to award a bid to Blanchard Equipment for purchase of a 2020 John Deere 5100 M 4x4 utility tractor in the amount of $70,311.02. This item will be purchased with funds from the 2018 T supplies. Mr. Penn.
Mayor, members of the council, we recommend approval.
Okay. Is there any discussion by council?
Yes, Mr. Bean,
Yes.
can I drive this tractor?
I'll pick your
Thanks a lot.
I'm not afraid.
If there's no
There's
further,
a board to it, but not.
if there's no further discussion by council, is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All right. We move on to agenda item 12, which is consideration of a motion to approve the conversion of excess vacation leave to sick leave beginning in 2019 and make the new policy retroactive for 2018. Mr. King.
Mayor, members of the council, right now, our employees at the end of the year, if they're not able to use their vacation time, they simply lose it. And last year, we had 35 employees that lost about 500 hours of vacation leave. So I recommend to you that instead of the employees losing that time, we just simply convert it over to sick leave. Sick leave can be used by employees when they retire to help them achieve additional years of service for the retirement system. And so I believe this is an easy fix, and I also recommend that you go back and make it retroactive for 1 year, which was last year. Recommend approval.
Any discussion by council?
Yes, sir. Thank you for this. I know this is gonna help a lot of employees out.
Yeah. All right, with that being said, is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
All right, is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All right, with that being said, we'll move down to agenda item 13 with other business from city council. Is there any other business? All right.
Yes, Mayor.
Okay, I'd like to put the mayor and council to consider, right now, as the water system works, as the resident who water's been tagged for being cut off, and have to pay additional fee, $75. I'd like for the mayor and the council to consider waiving that fee, because if the resident water is being considered cut off, it's probably short on funds. So as opposed to charging them additional $75 to cut the water on, allow them to pay that fee. Because in my experience, some of the residents receive the money to pay their water bill from a company called Axe, which is a very officials working together. So the funds are given to them to pay the water bill. Sometimes they only give them just enough to pay the water bill. They're not giving that additional fee to pay that $75. Most of the time, when they come up to pay the water bill, the water actually has not been cut off. So the city has not actually went out and cut the water off, other than giving them a check that it's been cut off today. In the past, in fact, right now, we charge our residents $75 additional fee for a cutoff, but the water's not being cut off. I personally don't think that's fair. I think we should reconsider that.
Is this something that you want to see on the next council?
Yes, sir.
All right, any discussion by council in regards to the topic?
I agree.
Mr. Penny, isn't this in our ordinance?
It is in the policy, and
Is it policy or is it in our ordinance?
I can't tell you.
Okay.
I know it's in the policy, because since I've been here, I've had someone request that I waive the fee.
Sure.
And the policy is pretty explicit that I can't waive the fee. And so it would take council action in order to be able to do that. But next meeting, we'll tell you whether it's a policy or an ordinance.
Well, in order to move forward, if it's an ordinance, we need to vote to direct Gaines to make the necessary adjustments and bring those adjustments before council.
Yes,
Okay.
Joe?
It would, we're not sure at this point.
I'm not
if
sure.
it's Where it is.
So if I'm hearing you guys correctly, next time we get together, you can tell us exactly what it is, and then we can move forward from that.
That's correct.
Okay, so next Tuesday, so we need on the agenda, we need to have a discussion item for this one.
On December 17th.
And Mr. Mayor, one more point.
regarding Councilman Jones' issue. ACT stands for Area Christians Together in Service. Until my wife took ill in 2013, she had been the chairman of that for a dozen years. I want everybody to understand that that is a charity agency, Area Christians Together in Service, totally funded by the voluntary contributions of all the area churches. And perhaps in considering Councilman Jones' motion, it does, those fee penalties for reinstatement of electricity or utilities are severe when an individual has been given the money to catch up. So when we consider this, Councilman Jones, I'd like to consider that if the money, I don't know how we can do this, but if it's been provided by an agency such as ACTS, that maybe that fee, you could have a provision where the fee could be waived for that to get someone reinstated. Otherwise, maybe we could continue as it was. Just something I want to point out here, so that the public understood that we were considered an agency as trying to help an individual and a family out. We might have some provision where we could assist them.
And, Lee, if you don't mind, you'll make a note for that for next meeting?
Yes.
All right, thank you. All right, any further discussion on topic? All right, any other business from city council?
Yes, Mayor. I was contacted by the owner of Eagle Creek last night, and I think when we revamped our city ordinance regarding the alcohol ordinance, and especially to simplify the categories, he kind of got caught in the crossfire, if you will. You know, when I say that, I mean, he's, as an establishment, he can both sell to the public via standard type of restaurant, but he can also sell his beer out of a cooler in a six-pack format, which is allowable by state law. What this is requiring him to get multiple licenses and essentially being double taxed as both a restaurant and a retail establishment, making it punitive to operate as a brewery. As Alan and other members of the DSDA can attest, the Downtown Development Authority of the state of Georgia is encouraging the development of breweries in the downtown areas as a way to revitalize older buildings, and it's become kind of a touristy type of destination in a lot of places. We can probably rattle off a handful right now: Nashville, Charlotte. There's a number of places where this is happening, and what we don't want to do is create a set of ordinances that would be punitive to that specific type of business, when the goal of that ordinance was to simplify things and make it easier for these businesses to operate harder. That being said, I realize it's an ordinance, and so I'm asking council, and I'll make the motion to create a brewery category that would take the considerations, the special considerations of that particular type of business, and just put it into a single license category. And that way, now they'll still have to get their state license, and they'll still have to get their Department of Health certificate and all those types of things. The state can state, you know what I mean? But here locally, we certainly don't want to create an environment where we're discouraging something that is clearly benefiting downtowns throughout the state and across the region. So with that said, unless anybody has any comments, I'll make the motion to have Kane draft ordinance language that would create a category for a brewery that would allow them to sell their operate as a brewery, sell their retail, brew their own beer, and put it into one license category.
So essentially, you're talking about having one flat fee for the package aspect, if it falls within the state guidelines, of the amount allowed to bypass the distributor, correct?
Yeah, there's only a small amount.
I think it's 500 barrels.
Yeah.
They can do to direct package and bypass the three-tier system. So essentially what you're asking for is a category where they have package and on-premises sales allowed under the same license, and then we'll also need some sort of guidance on what sort of under 21 admission
Well, there would be two categories, I think. If you're operating as a brewery/restaurant, then you would fall under those kind of restaurant guidelines. If you're just operating a brewery, where there's no restaurant involved, then you're operating more like a bar, so maybe there's two categories there. But again, we just want to create one license for these businesses. You want to open up a brewery, open up a brewery. You want to open up a restaurant, open up a restaurant. You know what I'm saying? Let's make it simple for these guys to operate and not make it punitive to, just because you're kind of a specialized category.
Was a punitive action happen when he called you?
I'm sorry?
Was a punitive action taking place when he called you?
There's no punitive action being taken place, but he's being.
You called as a punitive?
Yeah, I mean, you're getting double taxed. He's being taxed as a brewery, and he's being taxed as a retail establishment. So his fees have nearly doubled, even though he's operating essentially.
That is a
the same.
punitive.
That would.
Okay, so do we want to have a work session on this, or do you want to bring it straight before council?
Well, I mean, we can have a work session on it before the next council meeting, but we still need to direct Kane to draw, since it is an ordinance issue, we have to direct Kane to draw up the ordinance.
Yeah, and I think there's gonna be some other things in regards to alcohol, so do we want to kind of package that, or do a
What
work
other
session?
things?
That's
That's
not,
not for December
Not
17th. We're talking in January.
so that would be in January.
So unless y'all want to have a work session, you guys
No,
plan
I
the
don't
work
want to have
session.
no work session.
Okay, Mayor.
Okay.
I mean,
So it'll be January.
I'd like to move on this, with the license renewals coming up at the January. This has hit him unexpectedly.
Okay.
And so, and if it's all right with y'all, I mean, this is a fairly specific case. We've only got one brewery in town. Yet at the same time, we do want to create rules that treat all potential future brewers the same way. And again, as I said, in the interest of improving our downtown, which is the focus of our, part of the focus of our leadership conference that just happened a little less than a month ago. You know, the DDA in the state of Georgia has clearly said that breweries are a way to revitalize your downtown. When we don't want to create a situation where it's like, oh, you want to go to Statesboro? No, I don't want to go to Statesboro. It costs $8,000 to go to a brewery.
So because it's an ordinance, we have to have a first and second reading.
Correct.
Okay. All right, and so, is he the only brewery here?
Correct.
Okay, so I think that we can make some adjustments in this case, so that he's not penalized as far as the alcohol fee is concerned. And then we can make sure that when we put this together, we can be done adequately, and the staff have enough time to write it in such a way.
Right.
Yeah.
So we could do a stopgap resolution
Yeah.
if that would be more practical, because
Yeah,
that
so let's do
would
that.
go into effect before the January.
Okay, so let's do that. Let's do the stopgap resolution, and then that way we can make the adjustments to the ordinance so that we can make sure that he's not penalized for operating a business in the city.
So which way?
Well, either way, I still have to direct you to put the ordinance together, even if we do a work session and all that kind of stuff. That's the way this works.
So do you
I'm
want to
gonna make that motion, and we can make a separate resolution to do what as far as stopgap.
the resolution on the 17th to make sure he's not penalized?
Just,
To extend his existing license for a period of 30 days, something like that.
or just for 6 months, just say that, or just say that in this situation, we're not going to assess the package license fee
Okay.
on this specific establishment for these reasons enumerated, such as the downtown.
Can you bring that to
redevelopment.
us on the 17th?
Yes.
Okay. But for now, I'll make a motion then for the city attorney to put together a category in the city ordinances for a brewery category.
Okay.
I second the motion.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
All right, good deal. Is there anything else on the city council, business from the city council? All right, seeing that there is none, on December the 17th, the staff's put together a reception for outgoing council members at 4:30 for the Joe Brandon Hall, in recognition for their service to the city. We're inviting the public to be a part of that, and we hope to see you there. We'll move down to agenda item 14, which is city council comment. City manager comment.
Thank you, Mayor. I just wanted to just highlight one thing from the fire department. On November 23rd, our fire department, along with the Red Cross, volunteers from the Red Cross, they spanned out over the Sugar Hill neighborhood and Johnson Street and Butler to Butler Drive to install smoke alarms. And our fire department personnel, they were able to install over 150 smoke alarms. And so I just wanted to appreciate the fire department and the volunteers from the Red Cross for that effort, and note that in front of the mayor and the city council.
Thank you, Chief.
Mayor and council, I wanted to, if you indulge me for a minute, earlier today on the agenda, we had an item in reference to restating the defined benefits plan because of internal revenue requirements. However, on the December 17th agenda, there will be an item before the council in regards to our retirement plan. And I've shared with you that the current retirement plan for Statesboro employees has some changes. And the way the current plan is set up, the factor that is used to determine how much the benefits will be for our employees right now is 1.25. And most places you see, most cities you see anywhere from 1.75 to 2.0. We're recommending that the city council approve increasing that multiplier to 2.0 for Statesboro employees. The other thing that we're recommending currently, in order for our employees to receive benefits, even with 30 years of service, an employee would have to reach the age of 65 years old in order to receive a check. Recommending that the council choose an alternate retirement, which would mean that at 30 years of service, employees would immediately begin receiving benefits. Police officers currently they can't draw benefits until age 55. And so with 30 years of service, everyone would immediately be eligible to start receiving their benefits. The other change would also remove the cap for sick leave. Currently, you can't carry more than 1 year of sick leave. And in some cases, we have employees with 1.5 years of sick leave. So by removing that maximum limit, our employees would have an increased benefit because those sick leave days help calculate years of service. Currently, the way the plan is set up, most employees might receive about 1/3 of their pay at retirement. And by changing to 30 years, we'll probably see most employers receiving at least 50% of their pay at retirement. The other change that we recommend to you, and this has no impact on current employees at all, but should the council approve these recommended changes to the retirement system, for any new employees hired after January 1, they would then contribute 3% of their salary toward the retirement. Right now, our employees contribute nothing toward retirement, but for new employees in January, if y'all approve it, new employees would contribute 3% toward their retirement. And I just wanted to put that out before you, for your consideration, but it will be on your agenda for December 17th.
Thank you. Are there any public comments? Seeing that there's no public comments, we'll move down to agenda item 16, consideration of a motion to enter into executive session. Is there a need for executive session? Okay. We'll move down to agenda item 17, which is consideration of a motion to adjourn. Is there a second? All those in favor? All right. Have a great day, sir.